IVM.
Hey Raghavi, have you ever been scammed out of your money?
Yeah, several times, mostly by Uber drivers.
Oh,
and
no.
I kind of let them scam me because then they can get me to places safely. So,
Okay, no, I mean like a real scam. Like, those Sahara level scams.
no, most of my money is in like savings or I've invested it. Also, I've invested a lot of money in my cats.
Invested in your cats.
Yeah, like good food, treats, toys, catnip.
Dude, I've seen your cats play with Amazon cardboard dabbas. I don't think I've ever seen them play with a real toy.
Oh, so
Yeah, I think you got scammed by your cats, bro.
yeah, that makes sense.
Have you ever wondered why women don't do more crime?
Well, we're here to tell you there's misconduct all the time.
Women are thieves and murderers.
That's gross misconduct.
Con artists, money launderers.
Criminal misconduct.
Financial fraud that's hard to track.
Takes some planning, but still misconduct.
Even breaching a contract.
That's more civil though.
It's misconduct. It's misconduct. We tell you all about women that suck. Things that make you say, what the? It's misconduct.
Hello, and welcome to Misconduct. We are a true crime podcast and we focus on Indian female criminals. But on some days like today, we do something that really uplifts us. It gives us like hope, a reason to live, a reason to celebrate, to read, to learn, to investigate. Because today we have a financial crime. I'm Raghavi.
And I am Nisha. And as much as I share Raghavi's love for financial crime, I don't think I would ever start an episode with a squeal of delight like that.
Why not?
Because we're still covering crime. Crime has victims.
Yeah, fine. Okay, my apologies. I just get really excited about financial crime, although numbers and markets are not really my thing.
That's fine. I think financial crimes are fun. And I think we had like so much fun during the Indrani episode when we were doing the financial fraud, our first financial fraud. But rein it in.
Fair.
Today we're talking about Kamalavalli Arumugam, a woman whose name is some 500,000 people across the Indian states of Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Andhra Pradesh will never forget. Because Kamalavalli was responsible for the Paazee fraud, one of the most elaborate and far-reaching financial scams ever seen in India. Seriously, it's rivaled only by the Sahara Pariwar investor fraud case.
And also that's the only reference that we'll make to the Sahara case in this episode. Because this episode is not about Subrata Roy. There is a whole Netflix episode on him.
That's right.
This is not a show about men, guys. I feel like you should have understood this by now. This is about Kamalavalli. She's a woman. So no more Sahara talk. End of Sahara talk.
Thank you, Raghavi. So in 2008, Kamalavalli, along with her business partners Mohanraj Kathiravan and Karu Kathiravan, would set up a company called Paazee Forex Trading India Private Limited. This is in their hometown of Tirupur in Tamil Nadu.
Yep.
This company promised what was essentially a Ponzi scheme where, you have a type of investment fraud that pays existing investors with the funds collected from new investors. Basically, you just keep collecting money from new investors and paying old investors.
Yeah.
So you don't really invest anything in yourself. So you're kind of not an actual investing firm. You're just like a cash shuffler. In any case, Kamalavalli and her business partners swindled over 490 crore rupees, which is about 4.3 billion rupees, from about 45,000 investors, mostly from the southern states of India. In the words of a police officer that arrested them, the scheme was as follows. They collected money from people under various schemes like forex trading and other investments, but there was nothing on paper or any material evidence for such a huge fraud. The receipts to the investors only stated they were fees for the investment training given to them. The only hope for us was when we managed to seize their computers. So it was a very elaborate scheme that involved no paper trail, thousands of gullible citizens who just wanted to make some money off their savings, and a series of lies and deception.
Yep.
In 2009, the Indian government figured out what was going on, and the Tamil Nadu police issued orders to have the bank accounts of Paazee frozen. And there were warrants issued for the arrest of Kamalavalli and her partners. Between 2009, 2010, thousands of investors found out that they were not going to get their money back. Many complaints were filed with the police, with consumer courts, even with the Madras High Court.
Yep.
And just as Kamalavalli was going to be arrested, she pulled a trick on us all. She vanished.
What? Do they ever find her?
Yeah, man. She's a scammer, not Doctor Strange. What?
Dude, you slipped in a Doctor Strange reference. Movie comes out
Very
week after
soon.
we recorded. So, SEO. Oh, also, wait, I have a question. This company is called Paazee.
Yes, correct.
Paazee, like a variation on the word Ponzi.
Exactly. That one.
So for a company that was conducting a Ponzi scheme.
Correct. Yeah, by the way, that it was named after this man called Charles Ponzi. He was the first one who kind of pulled this kind of scam back in like 1920s.
Interesting. So Kamalavalli had a company called Paazee that ran a Ponzi scheme. So that's either really stupid of them or they knew what they were doing.
I think both options might be true. You never know. Before we get into it, our usual disclaimers, this podcast is not suitable for children. Nope. Although I guess we should be teaching our children about scammers. Yep. I don't know. But I'm going to leave that to the parents. Not us. Don't listen to us. Also, listener discretion is advised.
That's fair.
Yes.
So, hey, Nisha, do you know what? We don't have any information on Kamalavalli's early life. The thing is, we could have had some info because she was the appointed director in the company that we'll be talking about later. You mentioned this, Paazee, right?
Yeah.
However, when I tried to access the public documents for her appointment to this company, usually these documents will have information, at the very least, when she was born, maybe even a copy of her passport, just things like that. I could get her official address if I wanted to.
Oh my God.
However, I couldn't access any of this because the website for the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, which has all this information, politely told me to bleep off. So there were issues with logging in. There was no way for me to procure these documents. Okay, so we're just going to use some other public sources we have. Maybe you can cover it in the look back episode. By then, maybe the website is fixed. I don't know. We'll find out.
Maybe. I do want to shout out here for your efforts though, because I got all of the email notifications. You were clearly trying to use the misconduct email ID to log into the
I was desperate.
Please give OTP.
Let me get it. That's true. I tried everything with my brother's phone number and he texted me saying, what is going on?
For hours, I'm getting notifications from this one's trying to log into the Ministry of Corporate Affairs website.
I didn't realize you would get that. But whatever little information we do have, I'm going to throw it at you, okay?
Yes.
In 2008, we just know Kamalavalli was a 30-year-old woman who was living in the city of Tirupur. So Tirupur is this small town in the Indian state of Tamil Nadu. Just a little away from the more famous city of Coimbatore. So it's not like a backward town or anything. But no one really thinks of Tirupur,
Actually, sorry, just one thing though. Tirupur is dollar city because it has got the largest knitwear and cotton. I know this because one of my friends is from there. In fact, I remember she used to tell me that Tommy Hilfiger and some of these other huge brands, they get their cotton from Tirupur. So it actually provides a lot of employment to a lot of people. They earn in dollars. So
so that makes this story much sadder because let's see where this goes. It's basically the kind of city where if you want to pull a scam, you can because you would find the means and some trusting enough people to pull that scam off. So there's a company registered in Tirupur. It is called Paazee Forex Trading India Private Limited. It is a private company that was incorporated on 2nd July 2008. Of course, the registered address is in Tirupur. Its articles of incorporation basically state that it is involved in activities that are auxiliary to financial intermediation, except for insurance and pension funding.
So now, what does financial intermediation mean? So the OECD website says financial intermediation is a productive activity in which an institutional unit incurs liabilities on its own account for the purpose of acquiring financial assets by engaging in financial transactions on the market. Mutual funds are subjected to...
Whoa. Okay, cool. So I did PCMB in 11th and 12th. So what does that mean?
Okay, so basically, like any of these companies, channels fund between lenders and borrowers. That is someone who has surplus and someone who doesn't have funds. So it's like a middleman between two or more parties in a financial transaction.
Oh, sounds kind of like a scam.
No, it's not. It's like savings bank, credit unions, they're all financial intermediaries. So mutual fund managers, insurance companies, stock exchange, even the government to an extent is a financial intermediary.
Wait. How is a bank an intermediary?
You put your money in a bank, right? So that makes you a lender. So someone gets a loan from the same bank. that makes them a borrower. And like the bank facilitates the transactions, charges, collects interest, and like deals with all the collateral and things like that.
Oh, so I guess then a financial intermediary is not just, it doesn't just facilitate the money moving, but I guess it looks at risks on both sides. Because I know it, like they would charge interest on the borrower,
Correct.
right? So, and I guess they would use that to pay money back to the lender.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all financial intermediaries are supposed to meet the interests of the lenders and the borrower. So essentially, it's like a duty that is codified in the banking laws of most countries.
Okay.
In India, it's the Reserve Bank of India that sets all of these rules.
All right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what this company is. Paazee is a financial intermediary, and the directors of Paazee Forex and Paazee Infotech are Arumugam Kamalavalli, Mohanraj Kathiravan, and Karu Kathiravan, who is Mohanraj's father. So this means that they are in a management capacity and they take all the business decisions for this company. And boy, oh boy, did they take some business decisions. Raghavi, would you care to elaborate?
Jolly gee, mister. I would love to elaborate. So here's what went down with Kamalavalli's company from its incorporation. We learned that it was incorporated in 2008. Even before they really got into a business, so to speak, Kamalavalli and Mohanraj were essentially heavily promoting the company for a few months. Okay. Why? Because they were promising investors something that their local banks and funds could not actually do. So they told investors that if they put money into their schemes, as in the company schemes, the investors would get back at least double of their original investment in a span of about 6 months.
Yeah.
They even gave them post-dated checks with the final amount that the investors could cash in. That's the level of confidence that they, sort of exuded. And I mean, I kind of get when if somebody gave you a check, you'd be like, oh, I guess they are good for the money, right?
Yep.
The other partner in this arrangement, Kathiravan, who is Mohanraj's father, as you mentioned, he actually ran a pretty successful Tamil magazine publication in Tirupur. It was very widely circulated. So this made Kathiravan sort of a literal and figurative poster boy for the scheme, because they had free media now to promote it within Tirupur. And the promotions worked. So within a few months, about 5,000 people had come to them to sign on. The company mobilized about 50 crore rupees, which is 500 million rupees. And, we can kind of see why this worked, because this is one of the promotional posters that they put up across town. Okay. It said, if you give in a 50,000 rupee deposit, you can get back a whopping 140,944 rupees in returns in just 8 months.
Damn.
That is over double what you had given them. The same ad said for a deposit of 100,000 rupees, the offer that what you would get back is 280,000 rupees in about 10 months. And for a 500,000 rupee, deposit, the promise was 1.4 million rupees in 13 months. And you know what? If I was given that offer, I would take it.
Yeah, I guess. Because, bank rates are pretty crap right now. Savings bank rate is 3.5?
I do know one thing, which is that if someone gave me a document and just said, it's okay, don't read it, just sign it, it's fine, I would probably be a little bit because that's kind of what happened with a lot of these people. Yes, it was a little sus as the children say. But I would be a little suspicious about it. But a lot of the investors who came in sort of just, they looked at the posters and they were like, whoa, these people look really trustworthy. Wow. That woman's face is on the poster. She looks pretty chill to me. Oh, no. And they would not just sign on papers without really looking through them. They would sometimes even sign on blank papers.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that happened a lot. Also, Kamalavalli had a very important role to play in this scheme. For one, she was the face. She spoke to these investors. She's also a woman. So most people were like, oh, so nice. So soft-spoken. And she was decently popular around Tirupur as well. She was also able to convince a lot of women to invest, being a woman herself.
This is the worst case of women supporting women that I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's the worst. Now, actually, I'm going to take a minute just right away, okay, and tell you guys why this doesn't work. This is a scheme doesn't work.
Okay.
For one, remember how Nisha mentioned earlier that it's important for financial intermediaries to take the borrowers and the lenders' interest at heart? Yeah, no, Paazee didn't do that. For one, they didn't reinvest the money anywhere. So money that was given to them didn't actually go to something that would make more money, or alternatively, at the very least, generate some sort of turnover.
Income,
It could take years, but they didn't even invest it. They also didn't tell the investors where the money was going, which again is extremely sus, but it's sus for us because we are already used to suspecting people all the time.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily true for everyone, right? For first-time investors in smaller towns, this was really just too good to be true, and they believed it.
Yeah, I think most importantly, it's illegal. That's why we're here.
Yes, that is correct. In India, these sorts of schemes are also called collective investment schemes. It's the same as Ponzi schemes, just a different name. Maybe because nobody in India knows Charles Ponzi.
Yeah.
The thing with these schemes is, at some point, the juice runs out. Right? You will no longer have the money to pay your investors because no new investors are going to come in.
Right.
How many people can you scam? Especially if it's turning out to be like each person across the entire country is going to run out of investors at some point. So it's really a repetitive process, and at some point it's going to reach this incredibly high liability for that company, and then everything's going to crash and burn.
Yeah, but I don't think Kamalavalli thought that this was a problem that she had to think about because right now the company was doing really, really well. In fact, she was able to capitalize on like a series of festival offers for the company, like Akshaya Tritiya, right? One of the Akshaya Tritiya evenings. It's a day that people believe is auspicious and you should buy gold. So Kamalavalli actually managed to sign on like thousands of new investors to the company just on that one holiday.
Damn.
Now you may ask us, if they weren't reinvesting the money, where was it going? And the answer appears to be Hawala transactions.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, if you remember one of our old episodes on crime in Mumbai, I want to say Hasina Parkar.
Sure, yeah. You know what? We reference her episode a lot.
We do.
And at the time we recorded the episode, you were like, let's not promote it as much.
Oh my God.
It's scary for us.
We were quite terrified. Yes, so you might remember Hawala transactions from that episode. Hawala is an informal method of transferring money without any physical money actually moving. I say informal. I actually mean illegal. It's a channel that exists outside of traditional banking in India. So here we are now with two sets of crimes, essentially.
Yeah.
The first is running a scheme where you promise your investors the world and then you don't actually invest the money. Second is that you use this money to transfer it around the world as Hawala, which is foreign exchange violation that comes with insane jail time.
Beautiful.
Now, the rate of
chef's kiss.
The rate of profits in Hawala transactions is very, very high.
Right.
I'm not selling this concept. I promise. But easily you could make like 40% of the money transferred.
Come on. I'm not selling it, but you can make so much money off of it.
You can actually make even more if you consider that you get paid like transaction fees by, the receiver and the sender.
Wow.
But instead of just the sender, because that's how traditional banking works.
That's great.
No, but this insane rate of return was more than enough for Kamalavalli to keep running her scams.
Right.
See, you'll get caught, so don't do it. So to the point that by August 2009, the company had taken almost 490 crore rupees. That's 4.9 billion rupees from about 45,000 investors.
Damn.
So I say 45,000 investors, but it's like families that have invested. So it could easily be 500,000 people. That's the estimate. Now, stuff like this, especially when it's so well publicized, it just doesn't slip under the radar with the police.
No, they put up posters all over the city.
And all over that magazine. And turns out the police were watching. The crime branch of the Tamil Nadu police launched an investigation like on the down low. They were essentially slowly collecting evidence and putting together the scheme plans, trying to figure out where the money was going. Basically, they were trying to establish an airtight case before making any arrest.
Right.
Yeah. But by September 2009, the scheme had taken in so much money, the crime wing was kind of worried that failing to make an arrest would put thousands of people in harm's way.
Okay.
So towards the end of September 2009, the Tirupur crime branch took on the case and a warrant was put out for their arrest.
Cool. So let's actually take a minute to understand the charges here, right? There was, of course, Section 420 of the IPC. So the other legislations included the Chit Funds Act of 1982 and just a ton of Reserve Bank India rules on restricting Hawala funds and how to secure public deposits. So I want to put the RBI stuff aside, okay? Primarily because it's wrong, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Can't do. No Hawala, bye. But let's
no
understand
Hawala.
No Hawala.
Please continue.
I need a second. No, I'm fine. Cool. Let's actually take a second to understand what these chit fund regulations are aiming to protect, right? So in communities where formal banking services are not actually the norm, like if you put your earnings under a mattress in cold hard cash, that sort of place. In such communities, local moneylenders and investors often try to cash in on this, more rural financial environment. And in such communities, Ponzi schemes actually do really well because they promise, of course, much better interest rates than, banks and stuff can do.
Yeah.
They also promise easy processing and borrowing. So, they just say that you're extremely liquid all the time. Whenever you need it, you'll get your money. And most importantly, no money lender is going to turn up at your door and threaten to break your legs if you don't pay up.
Oh God, that's a good motivator, man. Can you talk to my bank and they should put all this in their promo materials?
Yeah. Your interest rate is minus 20%. And we won't send someone to break your legs. Yay, what a deal. So these schemes in India were colloquially sort of known as chit funds. I'm really summarizing this. There's a lot more to read up on this. But they were kind of all the rage in the 70s and 80s. Of course, added the fact that modern banking security measures were really far away for Indian banks to implement.
Yeah.
There were no mobile phones yet to get your OTP to begin with. And of course, there was a population that did not have access to the kind of material or awareness.
Right.
And these were sort of easy money-making schemes. So you just sort of get this recipe for disaster really easily. And so after millions of people were defrauded for almost 2 decades, the Indian government finally was like, fine, I'll pass some regulations to protect these people. Today, only those schemes that are specifically registered with the state governments are allowed to function at any given time. So you can't just set up what is defined as a chit fund and then start working immediately. Other than these, of course, holding money in any sort of deposits as a corporate entity can usually be outrightly illegal. Under the company's rules, which talks about acceptance of deposits, the central government can investigate any company that holds deposits that are not part of the normal course of business.
Okay.
Especially if it looks to them like they could defraud their shareholders or customers. So overall, now Kamalavalli is screwed.
Yeah, she is. So I guess it's a good thing she decided to run away.
Whoa, wait. But you guys, please don't run away. Aha. Segue. Because after a very, very short break, we'll tell you more about Kamalavalli and her Paazee scheme.
Are you looking for finance products and services that can enhance your personal finance experience? Are you looking for a space to talk about your financial product or service? And are you looking for a crisp talk show where the conversation is all about money? Well, your search ends here. Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta and I'm host of the Paisa podcast, and I invite you for the conversation about your personal finance on each Monday on the IVM podcast app or the website or on any podcast streaming platforms. See you folks.
Welcome back after the break. So before we dropped off, we were discussing how Kamalavalli and her business partners set up a company whose name is suspiciously close to the word Ponzi scheme and proceeded to defraud thousands of people out of their money.
Right.
We also listed a series of regulations under which she could be charged, and she was. However, when the arrest warrant went out for Kamalavalli, Mohanraj and his father, the three were nowhere to be found.
What?
They had absconded.
Oh,
no! This pissed off the crime branch. First of all, they had to hurriedly make all the arrests so that Kamalavalli and her team won't defraud more people.
Right.
But now they had no one to arrest.
Roll as Scooby-Doo would say.
So there was a manhunt of sorts which was started, and the investors came to know about this. And throughout 2010, defrauded investors started lining up outside in Tirupur near Pushpa Theatre. That's where the Paazee office was.
Okay.
They peacefully protested. They threatened the property. They offered to negotiate. So they can get at least part of their money back, but they didn't get any response. A few months later, Mohanraj and his father were located. They had procured anticipatory bail as a way of getting out of jail as soon as they were arrested. And a court must grant anticipatory bail. So they were found by the police.
Right.
Around this time, Paazee's accounts were all frozen as well. And Mohanraj, who left with bail, was active on certain forums and the Paazee website where he made excuses constantly for not having the money. And one of the standard responses that he gave was as follows. Dear our valuable customers, I am Mohanraj, Managing Director of Paazee. Due to some problem, we are temporarily stopped our activities because of our bank accounts freeze on 25th September 2009 by government. So now we are unable to do our regular activities, but we are assuring you 100% customers' investment is guaranteed. We try to solve this problem as soon as possible. I am extremely sorry for the inconvenience caused to you. I am expecting your valuable support to resolve this problem. Thank you, Mohanraj.
I am expecting your valuable support, dear investors I defrauded.
Yes.
That's the audacity. Good God.
I swear, my favorite part is due to some problem. Oh! What problem?
You are the problem, man.
Oh God. By the way, through all of this, Kamalavalli is still missing.
Okay.
No one has any clue where she was.
Mm-hmm.
But what they didn't know was that something else was afoot. Something so random and so weird that even the police were like, what?
So, that's actually exactly right. So, in September 2010, a Tamil Nadu state police inspector named Pramod Kumar was arrested. Yes, a policeman was arrested. Why, you ask? Well, it turns out he was extorting someone. Who, you ask? He was extorting a woman who was charged with financial crimes. Wait, you exclaim. Is this Kamalavalli? And I say, yes, it is. Because why else would this come up on this episode?
No, it's some
Come
other
on, guys.
random woman.
Yeah, some rando. Some other woman we'll cover later is on this. So for about a year, Kamalavalli was missing. Okay, like basically since they were like, hey, should we arrest her? To the point that they found this other dude, this Pramod Kumar.
Yeah.
So when she was away, she decided, let's put some protections in place for herself because she fled with her family and she was really far away. And she was like, hey, listen, I need some protection.
Yeah.
She had the money also, by the way. Also, it's alleged that during this period, she was bribing certain police officers to keep her location a secret.
Oh.
And again, like I said, she can afford that because she ran a scam that did really well and made her a lot of money. But one such officer who came to know about her exploits, this was Inspector Pramod Kumar. And he decided, aha, you want to scam people? I will scam you. So he decided to use information to extort money from Kamalavalli.
You know, I respect that though. Scam the scammer.
Remember, by the way, Kamalavalli is both somehow a criminal and a victim.
Yeah.
Just how? Like,
yes, exactly. So Kamalavalli is stuck. And what's a girl supposed to do when the bribed officer turned against her?
Oh.
Well, she had to pay him. And she did for many, many months. Until one day she decided, मुझे नहीं करना है.
नहीं चाहिए.
नहीं चाहिए. But she's Tamil. She's like, lavana. So that's when Madam just decided that she's going to file a criminal complaint. And she threw Inspector Pramod Kumar under the bus.
Wow. This is like the worst.
Right?
But this is the worst Tamil rendition of the movie Race. It's so bad. I tricked you. Bamboozle. No, you. Well, I was his twin brother this whole time. It just loses track.
Oh, man. Actually, I was thinking of Baby Patankar.
Oh.
She also had a inspector under her wing doing like shady things. By the way, even Mohanraj was alleged to have bribed officers to be able to get bail and travel out of the country and such. But this story is not about Mohanraj. And so we are just skipping that.
Wait. Something I do want to skip though, which is the fact that I made a Race reference and you understood it. So you watched the movie Race?
I have not.
Liar.
No, I haven't. I haven't seen Race. I've only heard the songs. Weren't there like 4 of them?
I think there were 7.
But this Pramod Kumar case was kind of like a big deal.
Yeah.
The additional Director General of Police in Tamil Nadu at that time was Archana Ramasundaram. She was not at all happy when this came to light after an internal investigation.
Right.
So she set up a special team to investigate the case, examine witnesses, collect evidence regarding the involvement of the suspected police officer. And it was found that the inspector had gotten almost 3 crore rupees or like 30 million rupees from Kamalavalli.
Oh.
He was arrested and remanded to judicial custody immediately.
Hey, but some good news from this. We found Kamalavalli.
Yay!
Yeah. I mean, she had to give herself up essentially, but oh well.
Oh well.
But so I mean, mid-2011, we found her. We've arrested her as well. Yay! By the way, she wasn't in Tamil Nadu for the arrest.
Oh.
She was holidaying in Meghalaya and Assam.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
To be rich and free. Actually, being rich is being free. So
yeah, it's like how celebrities are not actually beautiful; they're just rich.
Oh, hot takes by Raghavi.
Hot takes. So now a lot of crazy stuff happens with this case over the next several years. Unfortunately, a lot of this is primarily the Pramod Kumar stuff. After a point, people just really focused on that to the point that the Tamil Nadu police was like, listen, there's something else that was worse. There was 490 crores. This guy just took a little bribe. We'll handle this. But that's kind of worse, right? So with the case itself, as in with Kamalavalli, so after 2011, there were a series of investigations that were conducted. And it came to a point where the Madras High Court essentially said that the case was too big for the Tamil Nadu police to handle. I haven't found any references to this, but I do remember some very vague news about how the Tamil Nadu police was not happy to hear this. They did a lot of work over many years. They arrested these people. They collected the information to arrest them, So it's kind of like, when your case gets handed over to somebody else. And in this case, it was handed over to the Central Bureau of Investigation, or the CBI. So CBI, by the way, has a specialized economic offences wing. The economic offences wing is based in Chennai.
Oh yeah, that office is in Besanagar.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that seems like a cool place to work, I guess. Solve some financial fraud, catch some waves, get some mulga bhajis.
Yeah,
awesome, dude.
What a lovely view from the office. So between 2011 and 2012, the CBI really grills the hell out of Kamalavalli, Mohanraj and his father. So the Reserve Bank of India was also invited to depose before the CBI because, as you mentioned, the Forex stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, the RBI actually stated, aside from the Forex stuff, that there were checks that were issued by Paazee to the investors.
Yeah.
And almost all of them had bounced. And the total amount that had bounced at that time, when they were still investigating, was at least 40 crore rupees, or about 400 million rupees. At the time. By now, it's hit like 300 something.
Oh, man.
Also, please remember, this is the stuff that was registered, the 40 crore rupees worth of bounced checks. It is very likely that many, many people who did lose their money, either they didn't know where they could go complain, or they just didn't want to. Or, they would have complained to their local police officers who might have not understood the gravity of the situation as well. So in May 2012, the CBI finally filed a charge sheet against Kamalavalli and the other two. It ran to almost 14,000 pages. So it had witness testimonies, deposition from regulatory bodies, both in the center and, different states, because chit funds are handled by different states.
Correct.
It had pages upon pages of numbers.
Oh, God.
And, but you know what? Numbers are where you find the truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
How do I know this? Watch The Big Short. That's how I know this.
Oh, God.
So there's also so many regulations in those 14,000 pages that, I physically cannot cover all of them. We just covered the stuff that sort of works. But the CBI threw everything they possibly could at Kamalavalli.
Makes sense.
But the final charges, if I could quickly summarize them, are as follows. One, that Kamalavalli, Mohanraj and his father had duped around 45,000 investors across the country, promising them high returns in the Forex trade in 2009. Two, that the fraud was to the tune of 490 crore rupees, or 4.9 billion rupees. Three, that the charges were framed under the Indian Penal Code, the Chits Funds Act, and an additional legislation called the Tamil Nadu Protection of Interests of Deposits Financial Establishments Act.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, and the case against Inspector Pramod Kumar, he was suspended for his involvement, by the way. That case is going to be investigated separately. We're not going to deal with it here. We may summarize it in the look back. We'll see. But essentially, he was charged with abusing his official position as a police officer. And also, apparently, he made his subordinates extort money from Paazee in order to safeguard the directors. It's just like a cute little mix of bribing and extortion. Just sprinkle it. That's it.
Oh, good job. So now I did a quick search on the internet to see if it's possible to identify these sort of scams. And I came across a piece by Investopedia. It's literally called, "Is Your Forex Broker a Scam?"
Oh, all right. Right to the chase.
like a BuzzFeed quiz or something. So I'm like, cool, let's do this. So this game show is called, "Is Your Forex Broker Sus or Nah?" What do we know? Do we know things? Let's find out.
Let's do it.
Number one, your Forex broker doesn't let you read your documents properly and sometimes gets you to sign blank sheets of paper. Sus or nah?
No!
Your Forex broker is not very clear about what they're buying and selling on your behalf. If you ask them about it, they basically ask you to chill out. Sus or nah?
No, I trust them.
No!
Okay. You go online and see hundreds, maybe thousands of complaints about your Forex broker. Sus or nah, bro?
Those people don't know what they're saying.
No!
Okay. Also, most of the complaints online are about investors not being able to withdraw funds. Raghavi, sus or nah?
I mean, the government may have frozen their accounts, so
No!
Your broker does not respond to your many calls and emails. Sus or nah?
maybe they didn't pay their prepaid, I don't know, charge. So
No!
When your broker does respond to you, it's vague statements like, "We'll get your money debited soon. Don't worry."
Oh, okay.
Or, "Hey, it's not my fault. My accounts are frozen for no reason." Raghavi, final question. Sus or nah?
They said it, no, it's not their fault, so...
Raghavi, I am happy to tell you that you lost everything.
Oh no!
Every one of your answers is wrong. You are going home with nothing.
Oh, no.
And your Forex broker is scamming you.
Oh man. It's fine. Also, now I know that game show format was very, very cute and all. It sounds adorable. And I'm glad you had your fun because now it's going to get really goddamn sad.
Yay.
So remember when you mentioned earlier that in 2009, a bunch of investors in the Paazee fund were trying to get their money back. They were doing everything that they could.
Yes.
And all the companies said in response was that their accounts were frozen by the government and they was out of their hands. Well, we found a series of consumer complaint forum threads where these complaints were listed. And Mohanraj responds to them, generally with the frozen account argument. These are all in the year 2009. But the worst part isn't that the company had a very, I don't care sort of response. It's that the investors still believe them.
Yeah.
And just to drive home genuinely how awful this was, here are some of the responses from the investors after the company statement. All right. We're going to read these out. These are exactly as they were on that website.
It's quite heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. The first one, I trust you. I want to know when your company will come back to normal.
I am fully confident about Paazee. I believe that the company will settle all the amounts with its investors at the earliest.
I appreciate your response. I'm one of the investors. Checks presented after September 2009 will bounce. How will we get that check amount? I sincerely pray to God for a smooth resolution.
We believed and had faith and invested our valuable money. Day by day, we hear news like you do not have RBI approvals, but we still hope that you will return our money as soon as possible.
Thousands of investors support you and your company. We are very confident in you.
I was saving this money for an important surgery, but I believed in the company, so I invested in you.
So, as funny as this may be to some of us, there were some real lives being impacted here.
Yep.
The sad thing is, we don't have enough time even on this podcast, on this episode, to focus on this.
Yeah.
We do have a link to this, the blog, on our blog at least, for the Consumer Complaints Forum thread. And we urge you to all go and read it. It's genuinely gut-wrenching. The fact that there are thousands of unseen faces behind the scam, and the ones that believed the company's lies, believed Kamalavalli's lies and Mohanraj's lies. So please give them a minute of your time. And of course, be vigilant. That's the most we can say.
Yeah, but Raghavi, what doesn't feel like a gut punch to the soul?
Yeah, please. Yeah, tell me what.
Finding out about all of the other amazing shows on the IVM network. So let's take a break.
Yay.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcasts Network. On The Habit Coach, Ashton delves into the power of meditation with spiritual guide Swami Purna Chaitanya. On Misconduct, Raghavi and Nisha tell us the story of Neha Verma, who killed 3 women in cold blood. On Cyrus Says Cock and Bull, Cyrus, Puneet, Utsav and Antariksh talk about the Tamil Nadu woman who disguised herself as a man for 36 years to avoid sexual harassment. On The Longest Constitution, Priya takes a look at the contest between private, commercial and constitutional interests. And on Big Talk about tiny humans, Devi Shobha and Meghna tell us how we can raise awareness about child sexual abuse. We've got some exciting news for you. IVM Podcasts has just launched its merch and our first line is out now. Head to the IVM Podcasts website and click on the shop tab to check out our first collection of t-shirts. Do follow us on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Don't forget to rate us on any platforms you're listening on. You can also check us out on YouTube. We are also doing a small listener survey to better understand how you respond to our shows and advertising on the network. We would really appreciate if you could spare a few minutes to fill it. It helps us build better shows for you. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week: SBI Life Insurance, Jupiter, a digital banking app, and Capgemini. Get the future you want.
Welcome back after the break, everyone. So let's actually take a minute to figure out where is Kamalavalli now. So, she's in jail. So today, Kamalavalli, along with Mohanraj and his father, they await the decision of their case before the court. They're in jail because they didn't get bail.
Oh, well done. Continue.
Who decided bail and jail should rhyme? They're very old words. That's pretty cool. Also, no one's going to give them bail.
Yes.
Because, come on. Also, waiting is Pramod Kumar, who was bad in a very different way. So his case has not been resolved yet either. In June 2013, Kamalavalli and Mohanraj's properties were attached by the CBI. So usually these are used to pay the fines that are owed to the government after the trial. They're also really essential to prove that the accused actually benefited from these crimes, right? Primarily because it shows that they have a sudden, rise in properties or monetary benefits, those sorts of things. So this was essential for that. But the thing is, only if there's any money left over from the sale of these properties, after, the fines are paid, etc., it may get paid to the victims of the scam.
Oh.
If there's any money left over. Also remember, the money that Kamalavalli made was just the processing fees for the Hawala transactions. They didn't actually pocket the money from the investors.
Right.
So most of that money has already left the country.
Oh.
So tracking it down, especially when it was sent through Hawala, a system that makes it extremely hard to track anything because it's not part of the modern banking system, it would be nearly impossible. So yeah, Kamalavalli may get jail time, but her investors will never get all of their money back.
And I know we keep using the word investors like it's a hotshot thing, but these are not institutional investors, right? This isn't like SoftBank that got defrauded or something like that.
No, but WeWork managed that.
It's like common, hardworking people from small towns and people who just didn't understand that they were signing on to a scam.
That's right. They had no clue that this was going to happen. This was, like you said, it's not SoftBank. They will immediately, bounce back from this because they've also diversified. Congratulations. But hardworking, normal people are not going to survive this, right?
Who couldn't tell if it was sus or nah.
They really genuinely couldn't. By the way, as of today, the company Paazee Forex Trading India Private Limited is still listed as an active company on the website of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And Kamalavalli's name is still there on the board of directors. Let me once again complain about the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and its website, which is so phenomenally terrible to navigate. It is like UI and UX died a painful death. Why is it like that? I don't know. I think they want to make it difficult intentionally because the sheer annoyance will make sure companies don't comply with their filings. And oh no, now the MCA can issue fines all the time. How surprising. What a beautiful scam.
All right. I think you're deviating.
Yeah, anyway, what I meant is, if we had access to the company's documentation on the website, we would know a lot more about Kamalavalli, including whether she's still a director of the company.
But you said her name is on the website, right? Against the company's list of directors?
Yeah, but there's a rule in the Companies Act that can actually disqualify a director.
Okay.
Section 164 essentially says that if a person has failed to file financial statements or annual returns for the company for at least 3 financial years, continuously 3 financial years, they will no longer be permitted to be a director of that company or any other company for another 5 years. And the only way you can resolve it is if you, wait 5 years. Or you can, move the High Court to remove the disqualification. So I was hoping to see, if Paazee had not filed its annual returns in 3 consecutive years, then we can assume she's at least no longer director of the company.
That's interesting. But will that change anything? Like, she will still continue to be on trial for the crime, right? Also, she will be a witness for the extortion case against Pramod, right?
Yes. No, she will. I was just hoping to see her stripped of her power.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
It's okay. We can't be such choosing beggars.
But hey, who doesn't have to be a choosing beggar? Our listeners.
Oh.
Yeah, because they get a musical recap for this episode. Yeah.
Wait. We haven't done the thing.
What thing?
You know the thing where we dissect the psyche of the woman, try to figure out who she was. What was she thinking? Why did she do all this?
Oh, we can't do that because we know nothing about Kamalavalli. She's never given an interview in her life, which is to be fair, that's the smart thing you should do. There are 2 or 3 grainy pictures of her on the internet at best. In fact, all the news coverage about her is not really about the fraud anymore. It's kind of about Pramod, who extorted her. So it's like, yes, this woman did this, but this guy did another thing.
Yes. So
which is not as bad, I feel, but let's put her.
Basically, she didn't get coverage as a criminal. She's not getting coverage as a victim also.
Yeah, essentially. And look, I know there's a lot to dissect. Obviously, someone who willingly cheats thousands of hardworking Indians out of their money just so she can make some side money. And also just, leaving when things get rough, just absconding. A person like that is inherently bad through and through. I don't know what else to say. I don't even like to scam, just auto drivers and stuff. That's kind of, even if they're really rude to me, I still pay them 1.5 out of sheer
You mean
FOMO.
1 and off.
1 and off, yes. And the thing is, she's the kind of person where I feel whatever you say at this point, you can't do anything to redeem her or give her any sense of humanity,
Damn, that was
Yeah.
harsh.
Mm.
So, musical recap?
Yeah, let's do it.
Dirty people do dirty things for money. Just ask my pal Ponzi. Or look at my own Paazee. I'm very clever. 500,000 people fell for my scheme. Why doubt Kamalavalli? I'm sorry, Dollar City. Step 1, pretend that you know finance. 2, take cash in advance. Havala is your only chance, and that's how you do the dance. This game that we played over again, made 4 billion rupees and then disappeared with my police friend, but that's what spelled the end. Dirty people do dirty things for money. Just look at Kamalavalli. She's in jail now, honey. Dirty people do dirty things for money. My cash was taken from me. Ain't that just kind of funny?
Dude, that was pretty neat. At the
Thanks.
very least, you recapped everything, and now I just feel sad. So that's great. But we did want to ask our listeners something now that we're here at the end of the episode.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm still not allowed to call you Miss Condus because
Please,
I
man.
will get slapped. But if you are interested in purchasing our merch, which we call merchasing,
Yes.
because God forbid we say 2 more syllables. If you want to merchase, there's a link in our description to a survey. Let us know what you're interested in.
Mhm.
And if there is enough interest, we will maybe put out some merch. I don't know.
Yeah, so we're considering selling pins or badges,
Mhm.
stickers, maybe even mugs.
Yes.
And we'll only do it if we have enough interest. So please let us know how much you would spend
yeah.
on us, and then we'll make that happen for you.
Oh, we'll also do skydiving if you want it. We'll do it. We'll get it done. Yes, so please go check out the description. That'll
Yes.
give you the poll, and you can go let us know what you think. Also, reviews. Please leave
Yes.
reviews if you liked this episode, if you like the
Mhm.
podcast in general. Even if you didn't really like it, if you listened to it in 1.5x, you know what? It's fine. Just leave a 5-star. It's okay.
Exactly. On Spotify, you can do it on Apple, you can do it wherever there's a space to review us. Please do review us. We also have a new Instagram presence. Go down to the handle Misconduct Pod. It's also there in our episode description.
That's right. So, we have true crime content there, updates in the podcast, reels, whatever you like, it's there. Also, if you want to listen to any of the other episodes,
Yes.
please go to the IVM Podcast
Or
website.
wherever you get your podcast.
Wherever, just go.
Please listen to us.
Please.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
We are the choosing beggars.
Yes, we literally are.
And on that note, we will see you on the next episode of Misconduct.
There's a quick survey to fill out on ivmpodcast.com/survey. It lets us know a little bit more about who's listening to us. And you know what? We're going to do a few prizes. So, we'll do a random drawing of maybe 10 people, and we'll send you all some swag. Remember, that's ivmpodcast.com/survey where you can fill out the survey.
Ladies, I'm sure you will relate to it if I say that we are constantly busy with work, studies, cooking, and what not. And amidst all of this, we often forget an important element that needs our desperate attention: finance. So here we are, bringing to you SBI Life Presents A Sip of Finance, a women-exclusive podcast where we will teach you how to manage personal finances in a simple and straightforward way with your host, Priyanka Acharya, a finance expert who's been in the industry for 14 plus years. And not just in English, but in 7 more languages. So tune in every Tuesday for fresh episodes on the IVM Podcast Network and all major podcast streaming platforms.